District Attorney Gulluni and I would like to thank you all for being here to assist us in informing the citizens of Hampden County of what the District Attorney and I feel is a very dangerous and ill-conceived request from the Committee of Public Counsel Services. The request for broad swaths of inmates to be released from our jails and houses of corrections are strongly ill-advised. Releasing any individual to the community without a proper, thought-out release plan is nothing shy of carelessness. We would be setting an already vulnerable population up for a catastrophic collision with the evil temptations that exist in our society. These temptations have already proven in the past, and regrettably, I report that they will ultimately continue to cause the men and women being released from custody to reoffend, or even worse. These evil temptations will sadly cost these men and women God's most precious gift of all, their lives. Society needs to be ready and equipped to receive these individuals. And a failure to do so will result in a tragic ending to so many of these situations. At this time, I'd like to have District Attorney Gulluni speak, and I will follow up with some further comments, and then we will take questions. Assistant District Attorney.
Good morning. I certainly adopt and agree with everything Sheriff Cocchi just said. I want to thank him for his leadership, in particular now the work he and his staff are doing in these unprecedented times. It's very clear once you learn about it that the highly skilled corrections staff that he has, including medical staff, has dealt with this unprecedented public health crisis within the four walls in an incredible way, really foremost thinking about those under his custody and care, those inmates who are here. He has taken great strides to make sure that they are safe and healthy, and I think he'll talk about some of the measures they've taken and really the success they've had keeping this institution and others under his custody safe and clean and healthy. I stand here really acknowledging these incredible times we find ourselves in and how it's affected every aspect of our society, including our criminal justice system. And I think for Sheriff Cocchi and I and some of my colleagues across this Commonwealth, we understand completely the threat and the concern for folks who are incarcerated. They are people we care about. They are our constituents. So our position contemplates them. It does not stand insensitive to their concerns, because they too are threatened by this awful COVID-19 virus. But I really stand here with three concerns in mind: the inmates, folks who are incarcerated, but victims of crime, and public safety. And what has been proposed by the ACLU and the Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers and the Committee for Public Counsel Services is really a broad brush approach and a dangerous approach to dealing with these issues. Frankly, it does not consider victims' statutory rights. It does not consider public safety. And I have taken a position from the very onset of this issue as it's related to the criminal justice system to be thoughtful and to take a case-by-case approach to the individuals who may be at greater risk who are incarcerated. And frankly, in the last week, my office has agreed to a handful of individuals being released who do not pose a risk to victims and do not pose a significant risk to public safety and are at greater danger because of a pre-existing health condition or because of their age. So we have taken a case-by-case basis, not insensitive to the risk that is posed to inmates, but thoughtful, because Sheriff Cocchi will tell you what they have here, it provides them much of what they need. And society right now is in a precarious position. So to release scores of inmates into our society is a bad idea. And I really want to focus on victims' rights, because in this situation, and what, again, the petitioners have put forward, does not contemplate victims' rights at all. And those are statutorily guaranteed. Victims would not have notice of offenders being released. Sentences would be terminated, which is against the Victims' Bill of Rights. We would have major problems with regard to victims and with regard to public safety. At a time when the court system and police and law enforcement is stretched very thin, given this crisis, to release hundreds, if not thousands, of inmates from across the Commonwealth would be a very dangerous prospect. So we want to take an individual, thoughtful, case-by-case approach to this. And law enforcement, sheriff, and I here in Hampden County stand united that we are considering the inmates, we're considering victims' rights, and we're considering public safety in a time of crisis. So I welcome back to the podium Sheriff Cocchi for his remarks, and after that I'm happy to take questions with him. Thank you.
As the district attorney said, we have been and continue to review and evaluate individual cases as they are brought to our attention by the district attorney's office as well as the judicial branch. This effort is reflected in our overall offender population since March 10th of 2020, when my office implemented department-wide COVID-19 precautionary measures and reviews. Today, we have 1,059 men and women in our care and custody, compared to 1,166 just a month ago. That is 107 fewer individuals in our custody. So we are reviewing individual cases on a daily basis. And just as important, it should be noted that as of today, there are zero cases of COVID-19 in any of our Hampden County Sheriff's Department facilities. That is not by accident. This is due to the great lengths my staff is taking to prevent the pandemic from penetrating our safe and healthy perimeter walls. Look, I'm not naive to believe that we will not have a case pop up in any of our facilities. Jails are a direct reflection of our communities. However, we have a very strong prevention plan that is working, and as we continue to receive new people into our facility every single day, the likelihood that someone will enter with the virus is always present. My staff and I are prepared with protocols to handle this situation without having it spread amongst our population. I believe our correctional environment is a safer place to be than the unknown locations which these offenders in our population will have a tendency to return to during this time of the pandemic, especially for those who have compromised immune systems. If a large group of incarcerated individuals were to be released right now, it would be without a proper discharge plan. A proper developed discharge plan will support our population of individuals reentering to our community with a strong system of support, and we will place and receive and have them assisted in the community. When you look at mental health concerns, recovery efforts, as well as all the issues that come with home plans and stability, those services are on hold in the community. They are not available, and if they are, they're available at a very limited option. Most halfway houses are not accepting any new clients until this pandemic is under control. Many of our men and women are self-reported as homeless, and they need our staff's assistance to find them an appropriate and safe living situation. Contrary to what many people believe, this is much more difficult than people think. This flies in the face of our Sheriff's Department's long-standing efforts to ensure our offender population is connected to the appropriate community services upon release to ensure their well-being and success back into the community. Our medical team, which consists of doctors, infection control specialists, nurses, physician's assistants, mental health clinicians, and substance use treatment specialists, are literally seconds away at any given moment. Consistent with our regular practice, if someone in our care needs to go to the hospital, they are transported immediately. When an arrestee or a new offender from court arrives at our facility, those individuals are placed in a housing unit separate from the general population for a minimum of 14 days to ensure they are symptom-free. Additionally, all employees are being medically screened upon entering any of our facilities prior to the start of their shift. Our nurses are screening for any of the COVID-19 symptoms. Anyone who exhibits any of the symptoms is sent home with instructions to follow up with their primary care physician, and then they must contact our medical and human resource department. I have taken a zero-tolerance approach with our staff screening process. I am not taking any chances when lives are potentially at stake. The health and well-being of our population is always at the very forefront of all of our decisions. I hold virtual meetings with my command staff across the organization each day to review, evaluate, and continue to look at our protocols relating to COVID-19 to ensure the safety and welfare is there for the ones we serve. Should our institutional status change regarding the infection of the COVID-19 virus at any point in time, I would not hesitate to make any decision or take any measure necessary to keep our population health and safety at the forefront. Again, it is important to note that as of today, there are no cases of the COVID-19 virus in any of our facilities. I would like to thank my good friend and colleague, District Attorney Anthony Gulluni, for his leadership in these uncertain times and for being a fantastic partner here in Hampden County in public safety. It's always at the core of his mission. The District Attorney's Office and the Sheriff's Office are working together during the COVID-19 pandemic is just another example of how common sense approaches to criminal justice combined with compassion make a difference.